young man who is just so innocent, almost in a naivete way, but he's enthused about everything, so he's real fun to be around. Well, Frankie got a job as a busboy in a rather exquisite restaurant. In fact, it was one of these restaurants where they had a dress code. Women had to wear either nice pantsuits or skirts, guys had to have a jacket on, and you also couldn't go there to eat unless you were 18 years old. They were one, too, who had they didn't have paper menus, but they would have oral menus. So, they'd come up and they'd say, well, one of our specials for today is a delicately prepared pork chop glazed with a nice cherry almond sauce. So it was really a high-class place. So Frankie was thrilled to be working there. Well, Frankie was Frankie. And along about the third night, as he was there, got all over enthused, and he piled his bin full of the dishes. And as he got to the door, he realized he couldn't quite swing it, hit it with his elbow to swing it open. So he leaned over to a gentleman sitting by the door wearing a suit coat, and he elbowed him. And he said, would you do me a favor and get the door for me? That didn't go over well with the manager. In fact, Frankie's third day was Frankie's last day. But when his mom talked to him about it and said, well, what did the manager say to you? He said, well, the manager told me, remember that every person sitting there was important. You don't just go up and ask them to open the door for you. And Frankie's comeback was, but isn't the busboy important too? I mean, if I didn't do that, you wouldn't have even had clean tables for the next people. Isn't the busboy also important? And that is a message that we continually hear from Jesus Christ, that there is no difference in importance in the eyes of God. The manager of an expensive restaurant and the busboy are equally as important, equally called to share the gifts that they have been given. There's to be no division among the importance of people or the welcome of people. And not only Jesus, but Paul today in our reading reminds us of that as well. He says, he's talking to the Christian community of Corinth. And when Paul spoke to a community, it was always through letters. He wasn't there in person. And so he would hear about things that were contrary to how they were to be living as Christian community. And so he'd write a letter to them, encouraging them to change and kind of building them up to go back to what was the message of Jesus Christ. And so word comes to him that the Corinthians are living in disunity. And so he writes to them and he reminds them that they're to be of one mind. And he says, some of you came to Christ because of St. Paul, but you don't belong to Paul, you belong to Christ. Some of you came to know him because of Cephas, some of you because of Apollos, but they aren't the people you follow. You follow Jesus Christ. They are the ones who led you there. We all follow the same person, regardless of who first shared that message with us. And what an important thing for us to always remember, that no matter how different we are, we have the same message of Jesus Christ. No matter what our socioeconomic backgrounds might be, no matter what our educational level might be, no matter what our position is, no matter what our country of origin might be, we are all following the same God, regardless of who first shared that message with us. And so, friends, as we hear this readings today, especially that second reading from Paul, perhaps we could hear it through the ears of saying, this is a reading of St. Paul to the people of St. Elizabeth and Seton, to the people of Green Bay, saying, make sure there are no divisions among you. Make sure that each one of you is truly following the message of Jesus Christ and allowing others to use their gifts to hear the message of Christ in their own way as well, so that indeed there is never any disunity among us.